This is a formal verdict on adopting an AI platform. Professor Haddad didn't just choose yes or no. He adapted it for a structured pilot, setting explicit boundaries, keeping summative assessments outside, and naming specific unknowns to test. We often treat educational AI like an impenetrable black box, an oracle handing down answers. But beneath the surface, it operates as a rigid mechanical system of gears and logic gates. And because it is mechanical, you can audit it. Higher education has a persistent procurement problem. An institution watches a highly curated vendor demo, buys a platform, mandates its use across departments, and watches it slowly gather dust before abandoning it within 2 years. The failure rarely stems from bad software. It happens because committees evaluate features first. A demo proves what a platform can do under ideal conditions. It fails to show if those capabilities actually solve the instructional frictions you experience in your classroom. A rigorous evaluation reverses that process. It starts with your pedagogical problems and then reverse engineers the platform's promises using a strict 6-lens due diligence checklist. Professional due diligence does not end in unconditional acceptance. It ends with a provisional integration, defined entirely by the boundaries you dictate. This pyramid illustrates the evidence hierarchy for any new technology. At the bottom, vendor marketing claims earn the lowest trust. Demos and independent reviews sit higher up. But at the apex is your own sustained, hands-on use, where you directly interact with the platform's frictions and limits. That hands-on use is how you evaluate Lens 1, grounding and accuracy. You need to know if the AI tutor is pulling answers from the general internet, or if it is strictly confined to your specific course content. This flowchart maps the industrialized compile step. A professor uploads static lecture notes, and the system extracts a dedicated AI summary and learning objectives. These outputs do not float freely. They are locked inside a structured, closed knowledge base built exclusively for your course. With smart caching, updating a document only reprocesses that specific lesson. When a student asks a question, the tutor is structurally forced to read only from that locked contextual knowledge base, physically blocking the AI from pulling in outside general knowledge. By restricting source material, the platform strips away the hallucination risks of an open web chatbot, turning the AI into a reliable teaching extension. Lens 2 examines pedagogy. You have to determine if the platform's learning model is rooted in actual cognitive science, or if it is simply engagement theater masquerading as education. Many platforms use XP, use streak multipliers, and study timers. These are deliberate motivational wrappers designed to sustain attention, but they do not replace the actual mechanics of teaching and learning. True pedagogy within an AI tutor weaves formative checks directly into the natural flow of the student's conversation, rather than forcing them into a separate, static quiz module. The AI grades every student response from 0 to 100, mapping it onto Bloom's taxonomy. It tracks progression from basic remembering up to creating at the apex, assigning more weight as cognitive complexity increases. All of this underlying data compiles into a permanent performance report. It details the student's strengths, flags specific areas for review, and remains visible to both the learner and the professor. Valid educational technology must quantify cognitive depth. If it only counts how many times a student clicks a button, it is a game. If the difficulty scales based on comprehension, it is a teaching tool. Lens 3 evaluates data, privacy, and consent. As an evaluator, you need a precise accounting of what the platform collects, whether that includes chat logs, collects assessment scores, or navigation patterns. The platform must provide plain language consent before a student ever types their first prompt, and it must offer a clearly stated path for data deletion. There is a strict operational rule for this step. If you cannot answer these privacy questions directly from the platform's own explicit disclosures, that silence is your answer. Lens 4 covers professor control and governance. It asks a blunt architectural question. Who is actually in charge of the course structure? This flow demonstrates a proposal-based AI model. The system's agent can draft new lesson notes or suggest practice quizzes, but it hits a hard stop at the professor. It only executes a change to the course after receiving explicit human approval. Furthermore, the governance structure ensures that access control, whether a course is public, locked to an institution, or restricted to a roster, remains entirely in your hands. An AI platform that can alter a syllabus or publish content without your direct authorization has misread the relationship between software and educator. The technology must propose, the professor must act. Les312 measures workflow fit. This requires an honest accounting of what the platform can replace in your daily routine, and more importantly, what it absolutely does not do. During the audit, we mapped out the platform's verified capabilities. It successfully handles ongoing formative checks, generates practice quizzes, and logs detailed per-student progress reports. This table explicitly defines the platform's negative space. Look at the unsupported column on the right. The system is not a gradebook. It does not collect finalized assignment submissions, and it lacks the machinery to grade complex essays against your summative rubrics. Les312 evaluates sustainability and cost. You must determine if a pilot program is free now, but prohibitively expensive later, and assess how easily you can export your course content if you decide to leave. You also have to document the physical operational limits. This means logging the strict hourly rate limits on student queries and noting the 30 to 90-second wait times required for complex professor-side AI requests. Discovering these boundaries midway through a semester disrupts your curriculum. Documenting them upfront ensures you retain your own summative assessment tools safely outside the application. Which brings us back to Professor Haddad's initial verdict to adapt the platform for a limited, structured pilot. Because he applied Les312 and verified the rigid mechanics of the compile step, he knows he can trust the AI to stay grounded in his verified materials. Because he applied Les312 and mapped the missing gradebook features, he successfully established a hard boundary to keep his high-stakes summative exams entirely offline. And because he applied Les4 and confirmed the proposal gating architecture, he knows the AI cannot alter his course while he tests its generation capabilities in the upcoming weeks. His instructional pain points line up exactly with the software's proven architecture. That alignment is the only valid justification for moving forward. True platform adoption in higher education is a discipline. It requires you to decide trust before you ask the first question, evaluate your own problems before looking at vendor features, and establish firm pedagogical boundaries long before you deploy the system to a single student.